Right, good morning. Today we are going to discuss about process synchronization. Right, this is the second part of your fourth unit. So these are the contents we are going to cover under process synchronization. Right, before going to discuss about process synchronization, let me know one thing. So what is the need for going to the process synchronization? Right, what is the need for going to process synchronization? As the name indicates, there should be some synchronization between the process. So for example, if there is no synchronization between the process, what will happen? For example, there is a shared data. There is a shared data x. X is a shared data and the value of x is 5. Right? So there are two processes P1 and P2. Both P1 and P2 are willing to access the variable x at the same time. So what happened? Why? Because it is a shared data. For example, if it is a shared data and the shared data will be used by the process at the same time. That means both the process are running concurrently in the system. Running concurrently means both the process are running are executing parallelly. Both P1 and P2 are executing parallelly at the same time. So, and both the process are willing to access the same shared data, willing to use the same data x. So the value of x is 5. For example, the particular process P1 is willing to increment the value by 1. And then whereas at the same time, P2 process is willing to decrement the value by 1. So what happened? At the same time here, the value of x is 6. In the similar fashion, the value of x is 4. So is it possible? A single variable cannot hold two different values. So as per the process 1, the value of x is 6 here. As per the process P2, the value of x is 4. That means it should not happen. There should be some synchronization between the process when those processes are using the shared data. That means these two processes cannot execute the instruction parallelly. That means after executing the P1, the statement, then P2 has to execute the decrement operation. Okay. So if you run the things parallelly, the value of x is 6 here, the value of x is 4 here. So if you execute these instructions sequentially, not parallelly, sequentially means one after the other, what will happen? First, we need to execute the statements of P1. Okay, x equal to x plus 1. And then what is the x value here? X value is 6. If we execute x equal to x plus 1, and now the x value is 6. Okay, that means here x value not 6. What we want to talk is, then what is the value of y here? 6. Why? Because x value is 5. So 5 plus 1 equal to 6. So you keep the y value into x value into the y value is 6 now. After performing this operation, so what you want to do? You want to perform the operation on x equal to x minus 1. Right? So what is the value of x now? The value of x is 6, right? Sequentially, right? After that, what you will do? X minus 1 means 6 minus 1 and it is 5. Now the value of x will be keep in the y. So the value of y is 5 now. Okay. So if you use the y value even in the P1, or if you can use the y value even in the P2. So for both the value is 5 only. There is no inconsistency in the data. Are you got my point? So this is very important. All you need to understand. Let me explain for you. So if there is any shared data, the value of data variable is 5 and it is a shared data, for example. So there are two process P1 and P2. Both the process are running parallelly in the machine. So whenever these two processes running parallelly and both the process want to access the variable x, at the same time P1 is willing to increment the value of x by 1. At the same time P2 is willing to increment the value of x by 1. So what happened? Here the value of x is 6. Here the value of x is 5. Sorry, 5 minus 1, 4. Here the value of x is 6. Why? Because 5 plus 1 is 6. So here, as per the P1, the value of x is 6, and as per P2, the value of x is 4. Right? So why this particular situation happened? Why? Because both the process are executing these particular statement at the same time. So there is an inconsistency. There is an inconsistency. So what is inconsistency? So if it is a shared data, the value of x need to be same at all the time. So what is the problem with inconsistency? You need to understand. If you go for any real-time example, so for example, if you go to any real-time example, in your account, in your account, 10,000 rupees are available. In your account, 10,000 rupees are available. So from one ATM, you went to one ATM center, and one another person from your family went to the bank. Who are having the account in a bank? That account holder went to the bank, and what he did? He want to deposit 5,000 rupees. He want to deposit 5,000 rupees. Then what is the balance amount here? 10,000. 10,000 plus 5,000 is 15,000 is the account balance. Okay. At the same time, another person went to the bank and he want to withdraw the amount. He want to withdraw the amount. Okay. So what happened? He want to withdraw 10,000 rupees. Okay. The total amount is 10,000. So at the same time, he went to the ATM and he withdrew 10,000 rupees. What is the account balance? Zero. Okay. The account balance is zero. Why? Because 10,000 minus 10,000 is zero. So at the same time, whenever you are withdraw from the ATM using ATM, and next at the same time you are going to deposit amount by using a bank. So both the withdraw operation as well as deposit operation, both these operations we are going to perform on a same account balance, right? If we withdraw amount, it will be deducted from the 10,000. If you deposit the amount, it will be added to the balance. If you perform the same operation, see here, if you observe, the account balance is zero. Why? Because 10,000 minus 10,000 is zero. Here, if you observe, the account balance is 15,000. Why? Because 10,000 plus 500 is 15,000. Which one is the correct one? So both the things are wrong, right? So in order to avoid such a problem, such an inconsistency, there should be some synchronization between the data, synchronization between the process, so that there will be no inconsistency. What is inconsistency? If a variable x value is need to be accessed by other process, for example P1, P2, P3, all the processes are willing to access the value x. So the value of x need to be 5 here, and the value of x need to be 5 here, and the value of x need to be 5 here. So why? Because the variable name is same, the x is same. So the data available, the data within x variable need to be same. It should not be varied from process to process. There should not be any inconsistency. For example, the account balance 10,000 need to be same even if you go to the ATM, or even if you went to the bank, or from the net banking. Okay, you want to perform some operations using a net banking, or if you want to perform some operations on this balance by using ATM, or if you want to perform some operations on a balance within a bank. So wherever you are, so you want to perform operations on the same balance amount, right? Whenever you perform some operation, the amount need to be reflected to all the places. That means the balance should be the same in all the cases. Okay. If you deposit something, for example 2,000 rupees, so automatically the account amount will become 12,000. Immediately it will be reflected to the ATM, and it will be reflected to the net banking. Here also it need to show The balance amount 12,000. Here also the balance amount 12,000. Here also balance amount is 12,000. Okay. Whenever you perform some operations on shared data, okay, the data must be same for all the process. That is what I want to emphasize. Okay. That means you need to maintain the consistency. What you need to maintain? You need to maintain some consistency. Okay. What will be the inconsistency problem? Whenever multiple processes are using the same shared data, the data should not be varied from process to process. The shared data need to be same for all the process. Okay. So that is the objective of process synchronization. Okay. So in our that is called as a critical section problem. What is critical section? You came to know. So the to introduce the critical section problem, whose solution can be used to ensure the consistency of shared data. So what is critical section? Whenever there is something you want to share, that will be kept in a region. That will be kept in a region called critical section. Okay. What a critical section consists of? Shared data or code, whatever it may be, that will be kept in the critical section. Okay. For example, if you want to perform some operation on x, so x equal to y, f5, it is a shared data. So whenever process p1 want to use the variable x, so process 1 first went to critical section, enter into the critical section, and it will use the variable. After that it will come out of the critical section. Whenever the process 1 come out of the critical section, then p2 is allowed to enter into the critical section. That means first p1 will go and perform x equal to x plus 1 operation, so the x value will become 6. After that the p1 will come out of critical section. Then P2 will enter into the critical section and it will perform x equal to x minus 1. Now the value of x is 5. Okay. Like that, only one process, only one process, only one process at a time perform the operation. Even if it is a balance amount. What is the balance amount in our example? 10,000. First you want to deposit. P1 process is this is ATM and this is bank. So what you need to do? So first we need to perform deposit operation. First this one will enter into the critical section and it will update the value. It will add the 2000 to that balance amount. The balance amount is now 12,000. So after performing this operation, again the P1 and the ATM operation will be performed. So 10,000 minus, for example, 5,000. Then what will be the value? 7,000. So now the value is true. Why? Because after performing the addition deposit operation, we are performing the withdraw operation on the updated value, not on the previous value, right? So like that, there should be some synchronization between the two process. So process synchronization is for ensure the data consistency. Ensure the data consistency. Are you got my point now? Process synchronization is for ensuring the data consistency. Whenever the process are sharing the same data, there should be some synchronization between the process. So in order to solve the problems, critical section problems, we have both the software solutions and hardware solutions are available. Okay. And then there is at the end of this topic, we have a concept called atomic transaction. So atomic transaction is for ensuring the atomicity. Okay. You came to know when we discuss the particular topic. So these are the objectives of this process synchronization chapter. Okay. So what for process synchronization? So process synchronization is for ensuring the consistency. Okay. There is a critical section problem. What is critical section problem? Critical section is a region, so where only one process is allowed to enter in the critical section. So in the critical section, usually we'll keep shared data or shared code. The process which is willing to enter into the critical section first request for the critical section, and it can enter into the critical section and it will use the code and it will come out of the critical section. Then only the next process will enter into the critical section and use the shared data or code. Okay. So this here we have a producer consumer problem. So already we had a discussion earlier. What is critical? Whenever we had a discussion about interprocess communication, shared memory concept is there. At that time, we have already covered producer consumer problem. So once again, I will cover. I will explain you this thing. So what is a consumer producer problem? So in this, we need to talk about producer consumer problem. Producer and consumer problem. So what is a producer and consumer problem? So there is a buffer. Okay. So what is the capacity of buffer? For example, the capacity of buffer is 5. That means we can keep 5 items into the buffer. Items, 5 items into the buffer. Okay. So what a producer has to do? The producer has to produce an item. What the consumer can do? Consumer can consume the item from buffer. What the producer will do? Producer produce an item and keep it in a buffer. Okay. Producer can produce and consumer can consume. For example, at initial stage, how many number of items are there in the buffer? The buffer is empty. Initially the buffer is empty. That means there are no items in the buffer. Okay. So what a consumer can do? Consumer cannot consume. Consumer cannot consume the items if the producer is not producing. Okay. That means there should be some synchronization between the producer and consumer. If producer produce an item into the buffer, then only the consumer can consume the item from the buffer. Producer has to produce an item first. After that, the consumer can consume the item. For example, if there is a bucket, we need to pour the water first into the buffer. After that, we can take out the mug of water from the bucket. So if the bucket is empty, we cannot take the water from the bucket. Similarly here, the producer has to produce the item into the buffer first, and then the consumer can consume the item. That means there should be some synchronization between producer and consumer. If the producer is not producing anything under the buffer, the consumer cannot consume the items from the buffer. So there should be some synchronization between the producer and consumer, right? And next, one more thing. So for example, you and your friend are throwing a ball, and next one person has to throw the ball and other person has to catch the ball. Friend 1 and friend 2. So friend 2 has to throw the ball. Okay. For example, friend 2 has to throw the ball and next friend 2 has to catch the ball. So whenever the friend throws a ball and the other person has to react, can catch the ball, right? So if the friend is not throwing anything, how can the second person can catch the things? Okay, there should be some synchronization between these two fellows, right? Likewise here also, producer has to produce an item, then the consumer has to consume the item. Okay. And next, one more point. Whenever a producer is producing something, he has to check whether the buffer is full or not. This is the condition. This is the condition for producer. Why? Because if the buffer is full, the producer cannot produce the item. For example, what is the capacity of a buffer? The buffer capacity of is 5. That means if the this is the buffer capacity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 items you can keep. So the buffer is producing the first item, second item, third item, fourth item, fifth item. Now the buffer is full. Even if producer is trying to produce something, so over where we need to keep, we cannot keep the sixth item into the buffer. Why? Because the buffer is full. Okay, at that time what the producer has to do? Producer has to wait for consumer. Producer has to wait for consumer. Then the consumer will consume an item from the buffer. Whenever producer consume an item from a buffer, so automatically there is a empty location, so that the producer again can produce the item into the buffer. Okay, if the buffer is full, the producer has to wait for the consumer. If the buffer is empty, for example, if the buffer is empty, if the buffer is empty, the consumer has to wait for the producer. Okay, that is what you need to understand. So producer, what the producer has to do? The producer has to check whether the buffer is full or not. Why? Because if the buffer is full, the producer, if it is full, then producer cannot produce an item into buffer, right? So what is consumer? Consumer has to check. What the consumer has to check? Whether the buffer is empty or not. Okay, if it is empty, means there is nothing in the buffer. So what for the consumer will do? The consumer cannot consume the item from buffer. So you got my point? So producer has to check for whether the buffer is full or not, and the consumer has to check whether the buffer is empty or not. Okay, if it is full, then producer has wait for consumer. Then the consumer will consume the item, so that there is some gap, so that the producer can produce the item. If the buffer is empty, then consumer has to wait for the producer, so that the producer will produce an item, so that consumer can consume the item. Okay, so likewise the producer and consumer work with some synchronization. Okay, now, so while true means always infinite loop, always it will be, the code will be executed, right? So first, while of count equal to buffer size. So for example, in our example, the buffer size is 5. So count equal to 5. Initially the count value is 0. Here you need to understand three things. The count value is 0, in value is 0, and out value is 0. You remember these things. Otherwise, you cannot understand the topic. Here you need to maintain some information, initial information. Count equal to 0, initially in equal to 0, out equal to 0, and the buffer size is 5. Buffer capacity is 5. Okay, remember these things, very important, otherwise you cannot understand the code. Count is initially 0, in is 0, out is 0, and the buffer size is 5, right? Now initially what the producer has to check? The producer has to check whether the buffer is full or not. So what is the value of count? Initially the count value is 0. The buffer size is 5. That means 0 equal to 5. 0 equal to 5? No, 0 is not equal to 5. So automatically follow the cursor. So 0 not equal to 5. So automatically next, we will move to the this statement. Condition failed, so we move to the this place. So buffer of in, what is the value of in? In value initially 0. So buffer of 0 equal to next produced. That means whatever the item produced, we need to keep it in the buffer of 0, first two item. Okay, and then we need to increment the in value. In equal to in plus 1. What is in plus 1? I already told you the value of in is 0. So 0 plus 1 means 1. 1 modulo division buffer size 5. Okay, 1 modulo division 5 means the remainder 1. 1 modulo division 5 means the remainder is 1. So what is the value of in now? The in value is 1. And then you need to increment the count value. Initially the count value is 0. Now the count value is 1. That means at the end of the first iteration, the value of in is 1 and the count is 1. Okay, we need to repeat next time. Why? Because while of true means always true. Always you need to enter into the loop. So while equal to, now what is the while of count equal to buffer size? What is the count value now? The count value is 1. So 1 equal to 5. Condition fail. Again you need to go buffer of in. Buffer of in means 1. Earlier it was 0. At the end of the first iteration, we incremented the value of into 1 and count to 1. So now the value of in is 1. So buffer of in equal to next produced. That means buffer of 1 equal to next produced. And then what is the value of in? 1. So 1 plus 1. That means 2 modulo division 5. 2 modulo division 5 means 2. Now the value of in is 2 and the count is also incremented by 1. Earlier it was 1 and now it is 2. So the end of second iteration, the value of in is 2 and the value of count is 2. Okay, again you move to the next. So while of true. While of true means again you need to run. So while of count equal to buffer size. Now the count value is 2. 2 equal to 5. Condition fail. So buffer of 2 equal to next produced. And then in value is 3. Count value is 3. Again you move to this location. 3 equal to 5. No. Buffer of 3 equal to next produced. And then in equal to in plus 1 modulo division buffer size. That means again it will be incremented to 4. Count is also incremented to 4. Like that. So next value 4 equal to 5. No. Buffer of 4 equal to next produced. Like that you can keep the values, keep the items into the buffer up to 4th position. Why? Because in equal to 0, in equal to 1, in equal to 2, in equal to 3, in equal to 4. That means total 5, 0 to 4. So 5 items you can keep into the buffer. After that, whenever the in value is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 modulo division 5 means 0. And then count plus plus. Earlier it was 4 and now it is 5. Move to this one. 5 equal to buffer size. 5 equal to buffer size means 5 equal to 5. Whenever these two things are equal, what you need to do? Do nothing. That means whenever the count value is equal to buffer size, the producer cannot do anything. Why? Because the buffer is full. So whenever the buffer is full, the producer has to wait for the consumer. Whenever the buffer is full, the producer cannot produce the items into the buffer. Okay, and the next one is a consumer problem. Okay, while of true, that means condition true, you need to go to infinite loop. Infinite loop, count equal to 0, right? Count equal to 0 means why we need to check for this one? Why we need to check for this one? Why? Because the producer cannot produce the items if the buffer is full. So when we are running the producer code, which one we are checking? Count equal to buffer size. That means count equal to 5. If the buffer size equal to 5, then it means that the buffer is full. If the buffer is full, the producer cannot do anything, right? So initially If it is a producer problem, you need to check for whether the buffer is full or not. That is why condition is like this. If it is a consumer problem, what we need to check, if the buffer is empty or not. Why? Because producer cannot produce an item if the buffer is full, and the consumer cannot consume the item if the buffer is empty. Okay, buffer is empty means 0. So what is the value of count? Count value is 5. Why? Because producer produces 5 items into the buffer. So the what is the value of count earlier in the producer code? 5. So the count value is 5 here, and 5 is not equal to 0. 5 is not equal to 0. So we move to display statement. Next consumed equal to buffer of out. What I told you, initially count value is 0, in value is 0, out value is 0, and buffer size is 5. So with at the end of the producer code, what is the count value? 5. And 5 equal to 0? No, condition fail. So we need to move here. Next consumed equal to buffer of out. Buffer of out means buffer of 0. So buffer of 0 item, we need to take one item from the buffer, and then out equal to out plus 1. So 0 plus 1 modulo division 5. 1 modulo division 5 means 1. So out value is 1. And then count minus minus. Count minus minus means 4. Okay. Again you move to the next iteration. 4 equal to 0. No. Next consumed equal to buffer of 1. So next you need to consume the item which is in the first location. After that 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 modulo division 5 means 2. Count value 4 earlier. 4 minus 1 is 3. Like that, you need to consume the items. Buffer of 0, buffer of 1, buffer of 2, buffer of 3, buffer of 4. After that, every time if you perform the one iteration, the count value is decremented by 1. So 1 value is decremented from count. So initially the count value is 5 here. So whenever there is at the end of the iteration 5 minus 1, again 4 minus 1, 3 minus 1, 2 minus 1, 1 minus 1. Like that every time you decrement the value by 1, count value. Okay, so that one item you need to remove from the buffer. Buffer of 0, buffer of 1, buffer of 2, buffer of 3, buffer of 4. All those are consumed, right? So whenever it becomes 0, whenever the count value becomes 0, 0 equal to 0. 0 equal to 0 means buffer is empty. If the buffer is empty, the consumer cannot consume the item, right? If count equal to 0, that means 0 equal to 0, do nothing. Whenever the count value becomes 0 means count 0 means there are no items in the buffer. That means buffer is empty. If the buffer is empty, the consumer has to wait for the producer. Why? Because if the buffer is empty, the consumer cannot consume the items from the buffer. Likewise, there should be some synchronization between producer and consumer. Producer has to check for whether the buffer is full or not before producing an item. Consumer has to check whether the buffer is empty or not. Why? Because if the buffer is empty, the consumer cannot consume the items. Okay. If the buffer is full, the producer has to wait for the consumer. If the buffer is empty, the consumer has to wait for the producer to produce. Like that, both the producer and consumer has to work synchronously. Okay, that is reason why we have discussed this one. So producer consumer problem is a example for process synchronization. Why two process work with the synchronization? Okay, one best example for process synchronization. And then very important, most important, race condition. It is very important with respect to gate as well as the interview purpose, right? So here there are some statements. Here there are some statements. So these statements are executed by the process, one process, and these statements are executed by the another process. Okay. Okay. I will note down the statement for you. register 1 equal to count. After that, what you are doing? Register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1, and then count equal to register 1. These are one set of statements. And then register 2 equal to count. Register 2 equal to register 2 plus 1, and then count equal to register 2. These are another statement. These are set of sequential, that set of statements. Okay, statements. These are set of statements. Okay. So what happened initially? If you observe here, what is the value of count? The value of count is initially 5. Okay. So what happened? Count equal to 5. So that means initially this is a statement 1 and this is a statement. This is another statement. So these two things are executed parallelly. These two things are executed concurrently. Okay. So what is the value of register? Register 1 equal to 5. Here also register register 2 equal to 5. If we execute these two statements, so register 1 equal to count. So what is the value of count? So 5. Register 1 equal to 5. And register 2 equal to count. What is the value of count? 5. Okay. And then what you need to do? You need to perform register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1. So what is the value of register 1? 5. Register 1 value is 5. So 5 plus 1 is 6 here. Register 1 equal to register 1 plus 1. That means 5 plus 1. What is the value here? 6. And then here register 2 equal to 5 plus, sorry, here we should not perform the increment operation. 5 minus 1. So what is the value of register 2? 4. After that, what you are doing here? Count equal to register 1. What is the value of register 1? 6. Here count equal to register 2. What is the value of register 2? Register 2 value is 4. Register 2 equal to register 2 minus 1. So register 2 value is 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. So count equal to register 2. What is the register 2 value? 4. If you observe here, the count value is 6 here and the count value is 4 here. So if you perform these operations, if both the process are using the same count value 5, at the end of these operations, what happened? The count value initially is 5 here, 5 here. That means 5 here, 5 here. But the end of these statement, what is the count value? The count value is 6 here. The count value is 4 here. So there is a inconsistency. Okay. And next, I will do one more thing. So for example, so if I perform these operations in not parallelly, okay. So now I am executing the statements executing the statements parallelly. That means both the things work on the count variable parallelly. So it will be a problem. Here the value is 6. Here the value is 4. So what if I perform the operations one after the other? Okay. The register 1 equal to register 1 equal to 5 and register 2 equal to 5. Register 1 equal to count, register 2 equal to count. What is the value of count? 5. So 5, 5. Up to this, okay. After that, what I want to do? I want to perform like this. First this statement, and then 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 this statement. Okay? Check. register one value. What is the register one value? Register one value is 5. So what is 5 plus 1? So 5 plus 1 is 6. After that, I would like to perform this one. Register 2 equal to register minus 1. What is the value of register 2? 5 minus 1. This is 4. Okay. After that, what I need to perform? Count value. That means here if you observe, here if you observe, if all the producer statements at one time and then all the consumer statements at one time, that means register 1 equal to 5 and then register value is incremented to 6. So after that register 2 equal to 5 and then register 2 minus 1 means 4. So at here one play at place 6 and here it is 4. So what if I perform the statements in a other fashion? Now here what is the value of count? The value of count is 6. Here the value of count is 4. Why? Because count equal to register 2, count equal to register 1. Okay. If we execute the statements like this, the answer is look like this. Okay. So what I mean to say is, if we perform entire this operation, after that we need to perform this operation. What will be the output? Right? First I need to perform these three statements. Register 1 equal to count 5 and then 5 plus 1 6 and then count equal to 6. After that you need to perform these statements, right? Register 2 equal to, now what is the value of count? 6. And then what you need to perform? 6 minus 2 equal to 5. So now the value of count is 5. That means if we execute these statements first and then if we execute these statements, the result of count is look like this. Okay. Again, we will do one more change. This time I would like to execute these three statements first and then I would like to execute these three statements. Now register 2 equal to count. What is the value of count? 5. Register 2 equal to register 2 minus 1. So then what is the value? 4. Now what is the value of count? 4. So after that you need to perform these three instructions. So what is the value of count? 4. And then what is the value here? Register 1 value is 4. So 4 plus 1 means 5. Then what is the value of count? 5. If we observe these particular things, so what we need to understand? So the value of count, the value of count is dependent on order of execution. That means if we execute these two statements parallelly, then the count value are different. If we execute these three statements first and then these three statements, again the count values are different values. And then if you execute this statement first and then these statements, again the count value is different. That means the value of a variable, shared variable, is depending on the order of execution. So which statements are executed first and which statements are executed next, based upon that thing, the value of variable is varied from the order of execution. So that means whichever the instructions execute the first, the result will be based on the order. Okay. So that is called as race condition. Race condition means the shared variable value is depending upon the order of a statement execution. If the order is changed, automatically the value will be changed. That is called as race condition. So race లో ఎవరైతే ఫస్ట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతారో ఏ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ దాన్ని బట్టి మనకి ఆర్డర్ ఆఫ్ సారీ వాల్యూ ఆఫ్ వేరియబుల్ అనేది డిపెండ్ అయి ఉంది. ఓకే, సో రేస్ కండిషన్ ఈస్ the value of shared data will be depending upon the order of execution of statements. Okay, that is called as race condition. And next, these are the 4 requirements for a critical section: mutual exclusion, progress, bounded waiting. And then you need to talk about Peterson solution, and then critical section problem using locks. So these are the next statements, next things you need to cover. So before going to discuss about critical section problem, different critical section problems, let me explain you some solutions. What are the solutions? There are 3 solutions: mutual exclusion, progress, bounded waiting. Okay, what is mutual exclusion? Only one process at a time is allowed to enter into the critical section. For example, if a pi is in the critical section, no other process is allowed to enter into the critical section. I repeat, what is mutual section problem? Only one process at a time can enter into the critical section. When one process is there in the critical section, no other process is allowed to enter into the critical section. Okay, I already told you what is the critical section. Critical section is a region, so where the shared code or data is available. Okay, and next, progress. What is progress? If no process is there in the critical section, that means critical section code is not executed by the any process, and there exists some process, and some processor wish to enter into the critical section. Okay, at that time you need to select the process, one process to enter into the critical section. So that, observe here this line: no process executing in the critical section, and some processor wish to enter into the critical section. Then the selection of process that will enter into the critical section next cannot be postponed indefinitely. That means there is a critical section. Right now there are no process in critical section, and some process are enter into the critical section, willing to enter into the critical section. At that time, you need to select only one process among the many process to enter into the critical section. So whenever you want to select, that selection process should not be delayed or postponed infinitely. That is called as progress. That means immediately you need to select one process to enter into the critical section. Why? Because all the remaining process are waiting to enter into the critical section. Okay, the you should not postpone the selection process indefinitely. That is called as progress. And the next one is a bounded waiting. What is bounded waiting? For example, the process are allowed into the critical section. Once a process, what is the way to enter the critical section? First, the process has to request for the critical section, and then it has to use the code in the critical section, and then it need to be come out of the critical section. That means enter, before enter it need to request, and then enter into the critical section, use the code, and then exit from the critical section. Okay, that is the model, critical section model. Okay, so what is bounded waiting? For example, process P1 request for the critical section, and it enter into the critical section, it use the code, and it exit from the critical section. Immediately P1 is again willing to enter into the critical section. So at that time, you should not allow the same process all the time to enter into the critical section. Why? Because every time if you give a chance to P1 to enter into the critical section, all the remaining processes are waiting for the critical section. Will be wait for so long time. So it should not happen. So whenever you want to grant a critical section to one process, you need to check how many times that particular process enters in the critical section till now. Why? Because the same process should not get a chance to enter into the critical section. So that is called as bounded waiting. So these are the very important requirements for the critical section. What is first one? Mutual exclusion. What is mutual exclusion? Only one process at a time is allowed to enter into the critical section. If one process is there in the critical section, all the remaining process has to wait until the process come out of the critical section. Why? Because only one process at a time can be allowed to enter into the critical section. What is progress? Progress means, for example, if there are no process right now in the critical section, some process are wished to enter into the critical section. In those some process, you need to select one process to enter the critical section. So that selection should not be postponed indefinitely. Okay. And next one is a bounded waiting. Bounded waiting means one process is already entered into the critical section and it use the critical section and just it come out of the critical section. Immediately again the same process is willing to enter into the critical section again. So there should be some bounded wait for the same process to enter into the critical section. That means immediately you should not grant critical section for the same process. That is called as bounded waiting. And the next one is a Peterson solution. So already it is 10:27. I think you are continuously I am feeding you the information. So up to now, is this okay for you? So in the next class, we'll talk about Peterson solution and then hardware solution, and then we need to talk about semaphore. Okay. Up to this thing, is it clear for you all? Let me know. So these are the things we have covered. What is background? What is the objective of process synchronization and then background? I already told you concurrent access to shared data may result data inconsistency. Okay. Orderly execution, and there should be some for in a cooperative process there should be some orderly execution need to be there. So based upon that execution the data consistency will be ensured. Okay. So I already told you the problem. Count is initially 0, producer in 0, out 0. So these are the initial values. If the buffer is full, the producer cannot do anything. If the buffer is empty, the consumer cannot do anything. So we had a discussion about producer consumer problem, and then we had a talk about race condition, and then solution to the critical section problem. Three requirements for the critical section problem: mutual exclusion, progress, bounded waiting. Is it clear for you all? Okay, do you have any doubts? Let me know via WhatsApp. Thank you.